The Dogs, in association with the British Greyhound Racing Board.
Well, we're in the northeast for Greyhound Racing's latest major event. It's the William Hill Northern Puppy Derby. It's worth £8,000 to the winner, and for the last 2 years it's been won by Ted Soppett. And for good measure, Ted's got a runner once again, with Calzaghe Ted running from 1. But the big favourite, Farlow Reason, runs from 2, as usual, with the best of the action coming up on this week's edition of The Dogs.
On this week's programme, we visit the Scottish kennels of the most travelled trainer in the land. Yes, that's Graham HUTT. Plenty of fun and frolics from the Injured Jockey Fund meeting at Walthamstow. And we go behind the scenes for the grand opening at Hull Stadium. But first, the highlights of last week's Sky meeting from Sunderland. So they come round that final bend, and Toosie Blue out in front, a little bit wide, being pressed all the time by Blondbex. It's Toosie Blue by a length in the end from Blondbex. And now all of a sudden, Trap 5, Go Eddie Honda's been handed this on a plate surely by about 5 lengths around the final bend. Back into second comes Romford Car 2, but it's Go Eddie Honda who's going to win at a huge price. Go Eddie Honda wins. Back in second place, Romford Car 2. As they come around the final bend, Bubbly Kate moving around the outside. Well, a few heartbeats went amiss, I'm sure, when the trap's open, but Bubbly Kate has done it in style. Trap 3, Bubbly Kate wins by 4 lengths from Trap 6. Bubbly Kate winning the marathon at 1:20. Well, there was a packed ring for the night's feature, the William Hill Northern Puppy Derby final. Nick Savers Westmead Keorn in 6 was the marginal favourite, ahead of Farlow Reason in 2 for Charlie Lister, who surprisingly had not trained a Northern Puppy Derby winner before, and Calzaghe Ted in 1 for Ted Soppett, who was hoping to land the race for the 3rd year running. Here comes the hare. There they go, and racing on towards the first bend, and a good start from 2. That's Farlow Reason that's out in front early. Here comes Westmead Keorn on the outside of Trap 5 there. Also Fear Mambo is ahead down the far side, and the lead with Farlow Reason. Westmead Keorn's pushing it all the time. After these 2.5 lengths, back to 5 Fear Mambo, and then again back to 4 Barnfield Mike. They come round the final bend, and Farlow Reason sticking to its task really well here. This will be 4 out of 4 for Farlow Reason on the open race circuit. Farlow Reason picks up the William Hill Northern Puppy Derby final. Farlow Reason, unbeaten in his career so far, was slowly away in the heats and the semis, not on the final night, showed great early pace, and that was that by the first bend. Bookmakers suitably impressed. They've shortened Farlow Reason to around 40-1 for next year's Derby. He's in the capable hands of the Derby King, Charlie Lister.
The wonderful Scottish countryside at Kinross, north of Edinburgh, is where Graham HUTT leads a double life. Proudly overseeing his daughter's riding school business, it's where he also sends out winner after winner as one of the country's leading greyhound trainers.
Yeah, it's fantastic up here. Absolutely love it. The Scottish air's very good at the moment, but obviously travelling is a big problem.
But if you've got the ammunition, you don't worry about the travelling.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct. It's what's on the end of the lead that matters, isn't it, really? When I get in the vehicle, I mean, we jump in the van and we just drive. We don't think it's either A1 or M6. That's the road we go, A1 or M6.
Obviously, greyhound trainers put an awful lot of work into the game, and you even more hours than most because of your driving. You have to do the most of these tracks. What do you get out of it?
What do we get out of it? We just thrive on it. I mean, greyhound racing is something you can't explain to anybody. It's just in you. It's in your blood, and you just nothing you can do when you go out there and your dog's in the boxes, the hairs in the back of your neck stand on end. And when I went to Wimbledon, it happens, and you can't explain it. But we just thrive on it. Jimmy Wright, who's my kennel hand, my assistant Jimmy, he's first class. He does the dogs. He works first class with me, he's different class. His laddie young James is with us as well, and they're both keen. But again, we're all happy to do the journey. We're all happy to get beat and come home. That's the way it goes. As long as you're ready to go down the next time and looking for the next winner.
As they come round the final bend, in front again is Go Eddie Honda. Can Romford Car 2 respond? It's going to be Go Eddie Honda by a neck.
Graham's biggest success to date was at the William Hill Festival at Sunderland in May. His Go Eddie Honda won the Grand Prix there, a dog he bought from Ted Soppit and first tried over 4 bends.
When I first got him, that was my first intention, because I took him to Shawfield and gave him 2 or 3 trials, and he done 28.88 round Shawfield, which was like, you know, unbelievable time. And then we put him back, we put him in a 500 metres open and couldn't find him. you know, that's, so then we stepped him back up to 6 bends again. So he is a 6 bender, you know, he is a 6 bender. He doesn't get 640 strong, but he is a 6 bender.
Now you had, of course, 2 finalists in the Gold Collar, Go Eddie Honda and Borash Patriot. Now, tell us more about that dog. He's less exposed, isn't he?
Yeah, the Borash Patriot dog is absolutely fantastic in the kennel. Everything about him, he's so easy to do. He's just a lovely, friendly dog. Tom Nichol owns him, and Tom's had him in with us for about 6 months. The dog come off of Brough Park. I think he was maybe A2, A3 Brough Park, and we got him off Tom, you know, to bring him on, to try and bring him forward. He just turned 2-year-old at the time, and he's just come leaps and bounds. It really has. He's just come on forward. Lovely.
Now, one of your older dogs who's undoubtedly fast, but perhaps a little bit disappointing ultimately, is Droopy's Toby.
Yeah, Droopy's Toby's been All England Cup final last year. He was second. He just beat on the line again with Geordie Parker, and then at Wimbledon, Perry Barr. He done well in the competition at Perry Barr. But he's just not been flashing out the lids, you know. And you know what like it is when you go from track to track. Sometimes the traps open slightly different at one track to the other one, and it wasn't agreeing with him, if you like, and he was kind of missing the kick a bit. Nothing changes with him. He picked up a wee niggle, nothing serious, and we've just been bringing him back slowly. The All England Cup, that's our main aim with him. You know, we've kind of held him for that, and obviously that's what we're hoping for. But again, if he stayed at all like 480 metres, he'd be a superstar, but he just doesn't stay it like it. And the more you try it, the harder it is to get him to stay it. He just loses his early then. And
if there's one dog who Graham feels could win him a classic, it's Nervous Woody. He showed great pace during this year's Blue Square Derby, but what's the latest news on the dog?
Yeah, he's picked up an injury, a hock injury done at Bellevue in the semi-final of the Gorton Cup there. Just one of these things. He'd strained a hock, and obviously he's been off since, and we've just been gradually bringing him back, and it's taking time. He's quite a big dog and taking a bit of mending, if you like. But I mean, when he done the run in the Derby, it was absolutely it was breathtaking performance for him. But he was only 2-year-old at the time, and just, you know, he wasn't quite ready for it. Hopefully, you know, obviously next year's Derby would be our aim with him.
Even though he seemed to have a lot of early pace, he also came home strong. Is he a dog that maybe could go further?
He'll certainly I would think he'll get 550 metres strong, you know. That sort of distance wouldn't be a problem to him. 500 metres, 550 metres. We always thought early on when he was staying on at Coventry, it looked like he would get a lot further, 590 metres. But the main aim for him is the 4 bends, because he has got breathtaking pace, like it.
Graham has over 120 acres at his disposal, and the area is fit for a canine king. The walks look quite wondrous, and the gallop ensures it's work and not just play for the dogs. Here's promising pup the Dude stretching out after a layoff.
Yeah, excellent, perfect.
And with plenty of paddocks with up-and-coming youngsters in, the future looks rosy for the HUTT team.
How do you judge your success? Is it the number of winners, the amount of prize money you win?
Well, I think you've got to. It's all about getting. It's about getting a balance, isn't it? I mean, the prize money is important, but to be honest, because it keeps everything ticking along. That's all you need to get, the prize money, to keep everything ticking along. Because we're a small kennel, and obviously that's what makes us, you know, the kennel tick. That's what pays wages and things like that, and obviously keeps everything ticking along. So you have to get the prize money to back it up. But most importantly, we're here to enjoy it. That's the most important thing at greyhounds for us guys, is we're here to enjoy it, and we do love it, and it is in us, and we can't help ourselves. And the Scottish air up here must be very good.
Hopes of a new track in Scotland were raised a couple of years ago with the planned Wallyford project. But has the fact there's been no more news upset Graham?
The victory lane at Wallyford in Edinburgh obviously is very disappointing. I spoke to Howard Wallace at the time and 2 years ago, and spoke to him again and again. And we, at the time I'd agreed with Howard to supply 50 greyhounds to the track for racing, because I was going to get attached to there, because it would have suited myself obviously for pups coming on and bringing through, and that fell through. Obviously Howard, things changed at the track for whatever reason. Nobody knows the full ins and outs of it all, to be honest with you. But that was a big letdown for everybody, because Scottish greyhound racing at this moment in time, all the trainers are travelling down south. They're travelling to Peel, or they're training at Newcastle. They're travelling to Sunderland. They're travelling to Bellevue, wherever. But there's nothing. Shawfield in Scotland, obviously, but mostly Shawfield racing's handicap racing. Once in a while they'll have opens, and once in a while they'll have obviously derbies and things like that every year, which. It's mobbed out. The place is packed out at Shawfield when the derbies and things are on. When there's opens on, it's packed out. It's screaming out for a track to be done properly up here.
So you say the future of Scottish greyhound racing not looking too bright at the moment. Ever be tempted to move down south?
No, because as I keep saying, the Scottish Airs, obviously we've got something going for us at the moment, because Rangers is winning, Celtic's winning, Scotland's even winning, we're winning the odd race, and there's other guys in Scotland travelling down south and winning opens as well. So we just need a good track up in Scotland firing, to be honest with you, to get everybody sort of going, and there's obviously people out there that want the greyhound racing from Scotland in particular. So we need to either get together and try and get something going like it.
Well, maybe there's a place over your left shoulder that would do the job.
Yeah, I would love it to be over there. That's if I put my schooling track in and then put a stadium up at a later stage, that's kind of what my plans were, and that's why we got the big ground to the 80 acres to the left hand side of me there, hoping and praying that we could leave enough round for putting a stadium up round about it. That's long term, that's the plan.
Coming up after the break, we'll check up on the progress of the soon to be open stadium at Hull. Welcome back to the Dogs. Injured Jockey's Fun Night at Walthamstow is always a great night for the family, and it was the Whippets that acted as the curtain raiser to an all-open race card. Well done to Guys Granarthur, who won the Whippet race from Trap 1. In the puppy contest over 475 metres, Secretariat for Seamus Carhill and Kim Marlowe's Ronnie's Hustle were the 5-4 joint favourites, with Gary Baggs' Droopy's Hamlet next at 4-1. And away they go, and racing out towards the first bend. A good start for Ronnie's Hustle in 2. It's showing good pace up. So is Secretariat in 5, and also 6 Droopy's Hamlet. These three go round. In front of back in 4th place comes Battle Abbey. Heading down the far side, and Ronnie's Hustle has got a 2-length lead now over 6, who's moved up into 2nd. Droopy's Hamlet on the inside of Secretariat as they go around the 3rd bend. They seem to be leaving behind Battle Abbey as they come around the final bend, and it's Ronnie's Hustle keeping really on strongly here to land the spoils by 4 lengths from Droopy's Hamlet back in 2nd. Well, those big hairy beasts, the Afghans, lolloped around the bends at Walthamstow, and well done to Trap 4 Twiggy for winning the race for the 2nd year in succession. On to the main 475-metre race at 10:36. Seamus Carhill's Mildine Flash went to traps as the 6-4 favourite, ahead of the Mark Wallace trained Centaur Decree at 3-1. There they go, and racing up towards the first bend. Mildine Flash in a hurry to get on the inside rail. Leads up early here. 5 on the outside is showing good speed. That's Island View. That's moved up into 2nd. After these comes 2 Blonde Buzz. Then we've got about a length or so back to Centaur Decree in 4th. As they head down the far side, Mildine Flash has opened up a 2.5 length lead over Island View in 2nd. After these back in 3rd comes Blonde Buzz. They come around the final bend, and Mildine Flash is getting tired. Blonde Buzz and Island View. Island View just gets there in the end from Mildine Flash and Blonde Buzz. The well-bred Island View making it 3 out of 3 on these shores for trainer Dean Childs. Well, it was left to the Shetland ponies and their young jockeys to end proceedings, with Ulverscroft Drambuie winning for Will Twiston Davis. The next charity meeting at Walthamstow is on November the 24th. It's for the local Retired Greyhound Trust. Try and support it if you can.
Blue skies over Hull and some bright news for the sport with the return of greyhound racing to the city this week. The track at the Boulevard, the original home of Hull Rugby Football Club, closed last summer and was in disrepair until two businessmen, David Marshall and Sean Rennison, stepped in to get the dogs back on track, and they raced for the first time this Thursday.
What's been the biggest problem in getting this development up and running?
Time constraints. Getting the NGRC to understand who we were as people involved going down to meet with the senior executives at the NGRC in London, and we felt very comfortable and confident when we'd seen them that we recognised the fact that we had set out our stall to deliver a high quality operation in Hull.
Much has already been done at Hull, but management this week faced a race against time to complete the main restaurant area and kitchen. The track and kennels came first, and now it's top-notch facilities that Hull is putting the finishing touches to.
Now give us some statistics. How many people can you seat in your two restaurants in total?
In total, upstairs 270, and we've also developed at the other end of the grandstand a bistro on the ground floor, which will seat 76.
Now, bistro sounds quite plush. You can still get your pie and chips?
You can still get pie and chips. You can get a steak. You can get fish and chips. We are in Hull after all, so it'll be very good quality food prepared from fresh ingredients.
The downstairs bar area is clearly taking shape, but as with any major work, there have been problems along the way.
Yeah, lots of problems as you would expect with a major refurbishment of this nature. I'm the little voice that sits on Dave Marshall's shoulder and say, don't do it. But he's been confident and very firm about what he wants from the stadium. The key for him has been to reintroduce greyhound racing into Hull at the highest standard, and he wanted the public areas to reflect that as well.
Most tracks these days seem to think it is the restaurant and the a la carte food that brings in their money. Is that where you're aiming?
Again, we have a restaurant in the area. We do know the clientele, and yes, you have to put a good menu together, and you have to attract the right amount of people with the right amount of money. We accept that, but I'll say again that what we need to do is we need to get the public back. We need to get the support of the ground fraternity. We need to put the level of the dogs, to bring that level up to bring better dogs to the stadium. We do that via the sponsorship, via the open racing, and the integrity of the track is more important.
You've only got a 3-year lease on the place. Is that long enough to be able to judge how you're doing?
Well, we've hopefully Sean and I have done our maths correctly, and we think that the investment that we've put in, we'll have a return on that investment. I'm really hoping that when the council see and the support that we're getting, I'm really hoping that we'll have that extended.
If we're here in 10 years' time, would it still be racing?
Definitely, yes, yeah, without any shadow of a doubt. There's plenty of people to take it on. If have a long line of family.
One man with a huge amount of experience in the sport is racing manager Mick Smith, Hull being the latest in a long line of tracks he's worked at.
Hackney, Catford, Nottingham, stints at Wimbledon, Romford, it goes on, Bellevue, Coventry, but mainly Wembley. I was there for 6 years.
And how long have you been here at Hull?
Here now just 7 weeks. 7 weeks, started beginning of September.
Your first impressions?
First impressions, it was really run down. I thought, well, I had a good look round, but talking to the two guys here, very enthusiastic. They sold it to me, the potential I could see. The work was already started, so I looked at it and thought, yeah, I'd enjoy working here.
Now, what about your racing schedule? When you're going to run?
We're going to start the first meeting Thursday next week, 25th. Then Saturdays, and that'll be throughout the rest of the year, Thursday and Saturday. 10 races, first race 7:30.
So a little bit back to the old days.
It is. I remember the old days, 2 meetings a week, 8 races. Yeah, but now time's moved on, and now you're having tracks racing 5 times a week. This is a luxury to begin with, but the work is endless. There's a lot of work to be done, the registrations. It's not just about grading cards. There's just a lot more to do in the racing office.
As we've seen, racegoers will be well looked after, but so too, of course, will be the dogs. And a new kennel block houses 90-plus greyhounds and has been well received by trainers who've trialled dogs there.
We've seen massive changes with the new kennel block and all the input that the new general manager's put in here. Put an awful lot of effort and money into reviving something that was really a Dickensian stadium that was just falling apart.
There's always been a lot of negative news about Hull Greyhounds. Do you think this time it truly is a positive?
Well, let's hope it is. We've really been wanting it, really. There used to be 600 to 1,000 people used to come greyhound racing in Hull when the old track was down Holness Road. And we just need those people back.
Claudia Raid's name is well known on the open race circuit after the success of Ben's Court.
So, Claudia, positive about the future of Hull then?
Yeah, now they've got all the lease sorted, it's going to be good. There's good facilities. You get the free meal when you come, you get free entry, and it's going to be good. Get a lot of people in, hopefully, with all the new facilities in.
And special facilities just for trainers?
Yes, special facilities for the trainers. My mum's excited about that coming in. It'll be just a trainers bar and earners. I think earners are allowed in as well, which will be nice, without everyone else in there.
Do you think there'll be a lot of racing folk in the Hull area to come?
I think a lot of people will come back that used to come, which will be good. A lot of old faces will return. They haven't been for quite a few years for numerous reasons, which will be nice and get back to how it used to be with everyone here.
Let's look ahead 2 or 3 years, Mick. You're still here, comfortably behind your desk. How do you think the racing is to develop at Hull?
Well, in 2 years, I'd like to think we'll be established with 2 or 3 annual events, attracting the top trainers throughout the country. And at the bigger picture, if we keep a tight ship here, I'd like to think we can apply for bags and maybe introduce bags racing.
Ambitious plans for Hull can only be good news, and the return of racing 2 nights a week is almost upon them. Such has been the feedback, this restaurant will be full on Thursday, and it's hoped everything else will be ready for the grand open race gala, which sees Hull return to the fold.
Now you're opening on Thursday. Do you think you'll be ready?
Absolutely. No fear of that whatsoever. And I say that with a degree of confidence.
But your other restaurant looks far from ready.
It's just tables and chairs.
You have to set a date. The date is next Thursday. I've got a team of men that have worked with me for a lot of years, and if they have to sleep here, it'll be open on Thursday, including myself.
So Hull's grand opening this Thursday. If you're in the vicinity, give your local track some support. There's also opens on Thursday at Bellevue, Henlow, Hove, Oxford, Reading and Walthamstow. Friday sees the start of the Coral Puppy Cup at Romford, opens at Coventry, Monmore, Newcastle, Swindon on Saturday. The highlight on Sunday is the final of the Golden Muzzle from Portsmouth, whilst Nottingham stage the final of the Brakes Food Services Autumn Puppy Cup on Monday evening. For all the details on how to visit your local track, click onto our website, thedogs.co.uk. Next Tuesday, we're live from Wimbledon for the final of the William Hill St Leger. Don't miss it.
The Dogs, in association with the British Greyhound Racing Board.